Hello and welcome to Talk from Superheroes. Hey everybody, I'm Andrew Ivemy.
And I'm Diana McCullum.
And you're listening to Talk from Superheroes, where every week we discuss a piece of superhero television or film. And this week on the podcast, we were talking about Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings.
Oh, it's not a legend anymore, baby. We saw it. It's real.
It's real. It is real now.
It absolutely exists.
Legends can be real. You're thinking of myths. You're thinking of myths, aren't you?
I am thinking of myths.
Yeah.
A legend is a real thing.
A legend is a real thing.
Like a legend of tomorrow.
Yeah. That was the most real thing that you could think of.
I mean, they exist in their own show.
That's true. That's true. All things exist if we make them up. That is also true.
Oh, damn. We're getting deep
We're
early
getting real deep.
on this episode.
Early.
Having a real fun talk about meanings of words and messing with my mind types.
Yeah. So it's Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Interesting and too long title. I don't know what they would call a second movie of this because it's not even a subtitle. There's no colon. It's not Shang-Chi colon the Legend of the Ten Rings. It's Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. So like they're gonna have to be like Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings 2 colon back for more rings or whatever. Like it's
Lord of the Rings.
They made an interesting choice with the title.
I think this is.
I've just been calling this movie Shang-Chi.
I think this is such a classic episode because right off the top, I screwed up some words and you complained about a subtitle.
Yes.
And we are hitting all of our beats.
We're hitting all the classics here right now.
These are tropes at this point of us as podcasters watching superhero movies, but I love it.
Well,
and you're right.
At this point, I'm like, people expect, like, if this is the title of a movie and people listen to this podcast, I'm like, they're expecting me to bring up the title of the movie.
If it's a long title, Andrew's gonna bring it.
Yeah, it's no Legends of the Guardians: the Owls of Ga'Hoole. Like, it's not too much, but it is a little too long.
The colon should be earlier. There needs to be a colon after Shang-Chi.
Yeah, I agree.
Because
that
then
would
would be the title is Shang-Chi.
To a certain degree, yeah.
And you can call it other things.
It's a whole thing. So this is the new Marvel movie just came out. We are going to give you a spoiler-free review whenever something new comes out, whenever we're covering a new property on the podcast. We give you a spoiler-free review, so in case you're on the fence about seeing it, or you just want a little taste of the episode before you do see the full thing, or just want like a little hit, or maybe you're the type of person who just doesn't care about spoilers and you can go into the whole thing. But either way, we're going to give you a spoiler-free review. Then once you hear the theme music, that's when we're going to get into the spoiler-filled section of the episode. So for a quick spoiler-free review of Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, Diana, did you like it?
I did like it. I'm going to give it a really like. Not quite a love, but I really liked it. I think the cast is phenomenal. Everyone pretty much really crushes it. Simu Liu as Shang is great. Awkwafina's great. Whole supporting cast is great. Really funny. Great action. Oh my goodness. Some wonderful, like, non-CGI, like, real fights happening. Absolutely love to see it. Really interesting, complex, like, story, but an interesting, complex, but easy to follow at the same time.
Yeah.
Because from the trailers, I was like, ooh, I feel like we're going to jump around a lot. Will I know what's happening? But I knew what was happening. I'm a smart lady. So I had a pretty good time. I think there's like a little bit of a lack of urgency throughout the film because they like don't really know what they're going towards a lot of the time. And I think the third act is just a little messy, like fight-wise and CGI-wise. But other than that, really enjoyed it. Had a great time. Yeah. I'm gonna give it a really like. Andrew, did you like it?
Yeah, I really like it. I'm damn near a love, but it's not quite a love. Mm-hmm. I will say that this movie, it's not a love in the sense that like sometimes I will love a movie and it's like I really only want to gush about it. It's so much fun. It's so perfect. This movie is not beyond criticism. I agree with you. It gets a little murkier in the third act. And like it loses a bit of momentum, but some of the action set pieces are incredible. And even though it's not a movie that I'm 100% going to gush over, I was filled with nothing but joy and fun while watching it. So that's why I'm kind of getting it into the love category for this movie. It's a love not because it's a perfect film that I only want to give praise to, but it is a love because I had a lot of fun even through its flaws, of which there are a few visible ones, but then there's some like just shining star stuff. Incredible action, really well cast. There are just some terrific performances in here. It's a great story. I agree with you. It has some complexity, but it is easy to follow because I think that it is a lot of a lot of types of stories that we've seen before, but they're compounding them and layering them on top of one another. So it's not one needlessly complex story, but it is like 6 pretty kind of classic tales, all just kind of layered on top of one another, which works pretty well for the most part. So yeah, I had a lot of fun watching it. I'm going to have a few goofs on it because it's not perfect, but damn, I had a lot of damn fun with this.
I really like your description of it's Nero love because it makes me feel joy. That's it. That's what movies should be doing.
Yeah.
I mean, not every movie is meant to make you feel joy the whole time, but I
Right.
think superhero movies for the most part are.
Yeah.
And yeah, there is just a sense of like fun and enjoyment throughout this film. You're like, the energy's kind of moving along and you're like, yeah, we're all on this ride. Kind of like the way like, I would say out of everyone, Aquafina is the most like on the ride, like out of her element.
Yes.
And we're kind of her and we're having a good time and she's having a good time.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
we're all having fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think like just some really good action scenes. There were moments where we saw this in a theater, and we've had some conversations like in real life about like what is worthy of going to the theater anymore, because every filmmaker's trying to convince us that like this is the one you have to see in theaters, and you've got to see the ones that are bigger and louder. And I don't think that's true, because our best theatrical experience since theaters have reopened was Free Guy, and it was because it was a community experience and laughing together and like feeling something out loud in a room full of strangers was more important than things just being big and loud. But in Shang-Chi, there were a few action scenes where us and other audience members like audibly made noise. Like, it is a good enough action scene that there were people in the theater that went like, oh shit. Like, there were a few moments where us out loud were like, whoa. Like, we whoaed as if we were riding a horse on a couple different action scenes.
I was going to say, you were like, people in the theater. I'm like, you mean us?
Us.
We were audibly loud, but only when everyone else was. We weren't assholes.
Yeah. We weren't the only one. Everyone was making, for a couple of seeds, audible reactions in a very positive way. So this was a very fun theatrical experience as well, because it really invoked a response from us and the people in the theater.
Yeah, definitely. Absolute C, if that's the question. Go see Shang-Chi.
Can it be spoiled?
There's a few little things. I wouldn't say like huge MCU level things, but there's like maybe the after credits and like one surprise in the middle.
I would say about the same. Yeah. And
nothing that ruins it.
No, nothing at all. The surprise in the middle is just kind of a fun surprise, a kooky surprise that doesn't really twist or turn too much. For the most part, this is the story that the trailer gives you. And there's not a lot other than the post-credit and one quirky surprise.
Which is great, because it's a really great entry point movie. You honestly don't have to know anything about the MCU. It's kind of just this perfect standalone. And they even came up with a really great story where I wasn't like, why aren't the Avengers showing up to help? I'm like, oh no, like, you have to deal with this alone. So like really good writing in that regard of making it this like standalone thing that is still part of a bigger universe, but you don't have to know anything about it.
Yeah, fully agree.
Yeah, like you can, if your parent, my dad's been getting really confused by the MCU lately.
Of course.
And like, I think he can watch this no problem.
Yeah.
Is going to be my new rating scale. Can my dad watch this no problem? So I really liked that about it as well.
So I don't really think it can be spoiled. Just some mild, but it's a C either way.
It's a C. It's definitely a go. Go check it out if it's safe for you in theaters right now.
Yeah.
Rent it when it comes out.
Obviously, use your own discretion there. All right, well, that's it for the spoiler-free section. Let's get into the full episode now with spoilers. Let's talk about Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. All right, we have seen the movie. We are in spoiler territory now. We were just kind of talking about our general feelings of it. You mentioned how it's good for people who are maybe getting a little bit cross-eyed and bugged out about how complex and interwoven these movies can be, which makes me want to bring up, like, I think one of the first things that I want to say about it is that this is one of the best first movies in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Like, it is Iron Man, Black Panther this in terms of introducing something.
Ooh, that's a pretty good take. I mean, Cap 1 is better than people remember it being, but I won't fight super hard for it. But yeah.
I agree with you. I do really like Cap 1.
People
but
aren't generally going to be like...
And it's also a period piece, and like it's a little bit different stylistically, but
Yeah, but yeah, you're absolutely right. And it does really interesting things with an origin story. Like, I like that it's like best origin story up there, but you hardly ever see an origin story where the person's already trained and just ready to go. Like, we get his like backstory of how his dad did train him, but like, it's no like Spider-Man figures out how to use webbing or everything. I really like that it's an origin story, but he just gets attacked on a bus and suddenly he's badass.
He's back in the game.
Yeah, he's back. He's like retired and coming back into it. I think that's a really cool angle and really fun. And yeah, and that to that point, I think like kind of the way the story's broken up non-chronologically actually works, which is a thing I almost never like.
I fully agree.
It absolutely works, and it needed to be told this way because in chronological, this would be too top-heavy.
Yeah.
So by so much. So yeah, it's an interesting, bold way to tell an origin story because it easily could not have worked.
Yeah.
But it absolutely worked.
Yeah, I fully agree. I love the jumping around of the timeline, the flashbacks, the cut forwards or present days. It works so well, and it is the type of gimmicky thing that normally we would hate because I think why it works in this or what it feels like when I'm watching it is that it feels intentional. Like it feels like from the script phase, their intention was we're going to give you a little backstory of the dad, cut to present day, and then we'll be jumping back and forth. You'll see some training as a kid. You'll see him leave, for an assassination, doing this, his sister. We're going to cut back and forth, and that was the plan from the script phase. Whereas I feel like the movies that do this poorly, and we've seen a lot of movies that do this poorly, where it's like, we don't want it to be top heavy, so we're going to cut back and forth. It always feels like they filmed it meaning to be chronological. And then afterwards, they watched the movie once it was complete, and they were like, oh, fuck, this moves at a glacially slow pace. So then in editing, they just randomly start moving scenes around. This feels very intentful, which is why it works. It's not an afterthought, which is what a lot of the movies that use this storytelling style feel like. Usually it feels like an afterthought. This doesn't. It
absolutely doesn't. And they filmed and presented it in a way that's, I think, very rare in that they would show you like a thing that happened in the past and then they would add more information to it later, but it didn't feel like they were lying or hiding anything.
Yeah.
They really just were slowly giving you the story. It's like you see Shang-Chi leave from his dad and then later he says, I was supposed to go assassinate a guy. Then you find out later, I was supposed to assassinate the guy who killed my mom. Like, they're adding the information on in a way that doesn't seem like I was lied to.
Yeah.
It is just the general progression of the story, which also feels very rare. Like, most movies, it just feels like you were like, oh, so it was a lie, not a twist.
Yeah.
Lies aren't twists.
Lies aren't twists.
But these were just reveals.
Reveals, and I think like emotionally motivated reveals as well, because I agree with you, a lesser movie will do lies, which is always shitty, and then a mediocre movie will withhold information, and this doesn't feel like it's being withheld, even though empirically it is, like you mentioned, but it feels motivated because it is happening when the character of Shang-Chi is ready to confront that memory. It almost feels like repressed memories. Like, we get the story of the dad to kind of like, at the beginning of the movie, we get the flashback, the story of the dad to kind of set the tone and set the stage for this movie. Then we don't get anything with the child yet until Shang-Chi is attacked on a bus. And he had denied that part of his life, and now it has to like re-erupt and come back, and he has to confront it. So we get that part of the story. Then as he emotionally has to confront, is he a murderer? We get that part of the story. Then when he has to confront, is he a familial revenge murderer? Then we get that part of the story. So it does feel like any given time when the main character of Shang-Chi has to confront that part of his life is when we get that relevant flashback. So it feels like withholding the story's withholding information, but with a motivated purpose.
Yeah, like, we don't learn about his sister until he has to confront his sister and abandoning her.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all, and he's been running away from it, so we're with him on running away from it until he confronts it.
Yeah.
We don't get to know it beforehand.
Yeah, flashbacks and the whole narrative is told through like the emotional perspective of Shang-Chi. And I think that that's actually kind of brilliant.
It's cool. It's a great, because as we said, if this movie was chronologically ordered, you wouldn't get to Simu Liu for an hour. Like, there are a lot of flashbacks.
Yeah.
There's a ton of them, it would be a pretty long time till we got to that dope-ass bus fight scene.
Absolutely. It would take too long to get to that awesome fight scene. Yeah, but I also like that this is told through the emotional narrative of Shang-Chi, but without them hanging a lantern on it. Like it's subtle, but it makes sense without like hitting us over the head to be like, without narration, essentially, which is also what a lesser movie would do, to be like, my name is Shang-Chi, here's my story. Actually, I had a sister. Like, they don't need to be like, just so you know, you are experiencing this movie through his perspective, which is why you are getting information at certain times. They're just like, we are doing it at certain times because it makes sense. You'll either figure it out or you won't, but if you don't figure out that's why we're telling it like this, it still all functions as well.
Definitely. There's no point where like Shang-Chi comes on, he's like, and that's when I learned the theme. And here's the theme. And this is the flashback where I learned the theme. Have we all learned the theme?
It's not the first 3 seasons of Arrow, is what you're saying.
Every episode of Scrubs.
Yeah, fair enough. It's somewhere in between Arrow and Scrubs.
That
classic team up. The narration of Scrubs with the flashback thematic references of Arrow, where it would be like Oliver in present day to be like, I don't know if I should work with a teammate. And then it would cut to him on the island in a bad wig. And he's just like, I guess we're handcuffed together and I'm going to have to learn to work with a teammate today on the island. Then I will conveniently forget this lesson for the next 10 years until in the future when I have to remember this.
Yeah,
so it's not that.
That's the CW's version of Shang-Chi.
Yeah.
Briefly, because I did mention it, I mean, all the action is really good. That bus fight scene is one of the greatest things I've ever seen.
Absolutely bananas. I'm frankly upset that this movie didn't come out on streaming or video on demand, because when I left the theater, I was so jazzed about that scene. I didn't necessarily want to turn around and watch that whole movie again, but I did want to spend the next hour just rewatching the bus fight scene.
I totally agree. That has the rewatchability of like the Cap elevator fight.
100%.
It's going to be one of like the classic MCU fights. It's like just long enough. The energy is great. It's logical. It makes sense what's going on. The humor's wonderful. The choreography. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Simu Liu is just destroying this fight scene as well.
Actually, it seems, for a lot of it, and I've seen some behind the scenes where it is clearly him sliding across the bus. He released some behind the scenes of that. So all very impressive. Yeah, it is some fight scenes from Winter Soldier, and then this. And I can't think of another better choreographed fight scene in the MCU.
No, because the MCU isn't super high on, like, fighters. Like, maybe there's some Black Widow ones, because she's also a fighter, but she also ends her fights so quickly.
Yeah.
And Hawkeye's just shooting people with arrows. So it's not like a fighter. It's like, action punchy, but not a lot of, like, choreography fights, except for Cap, who's, like, a puncher.
Yeah.
So you got to be a puncher. It's just up there. And just the brilliant, like Jackie Chan elements, speed elements.
Yeah.
Seeding in that Awkwafina loves to drive cars, so she's driving the bus.
Yeah.
They made a perfect action sequence. Cutting it in two to get rid of the bad guy, him doing that big jump onto the other half.
Even just, like, having the pedestrians or, like, the passengers on the bus as these, like, prop pieces, people kind of, like, watching and reacting and playing with. Every scene element is an absolute painting. Like, it is gorgeous, perfect, carefully thought out. There is not one missed detail in that bus fight sequence. I am in love, like head over heels in love with this bus sequence.
And the bits of humor, like pulling the stop request. Pulling a stop request, never not funny.
The dude... Okay, this should be the cheesiest. This should not work. And this is another thing that's impressive about this bus sequence. The dude streaming it feels very, and a thing other movies have done, but it feels very like a 70-year-old wrote a YouTube guy streamer character, and this dialogue was written by someone who has never watched a Twitch or YouTube personality before, and they're going on fourth-hand information of what their kids' friends have told them. But it works. It somehow works. This what's up, everybody? It's me. I'm here. There's a cool bus fight sequence going on. let's have a look. I think you can take him. And then the sword comes out. He's like, actually, that's my bad, boss. Like, this dude also lights up the scene in a really fun way and does this motivated, like a YouTube video went viral or whatever, which I think even the MCU has done several times already in Spider-Man and other stuff. And it has always felt like a person who's a million years old wrote the idea of what going viral is, and they've never understood the concept. But this feels right, even down to little details of like the streamer guy who is doing the front-facing camera and talking to the camera and to his fans and pressing a button to flip the camera around as opposed to spinning the camera, which is what someone who doesn't understand how this works would do or direct.
It was such a small detail for movies that are set in present day with present technology that have to get right. Mm-hmm. The fact that you can just flip your camera around, and if you're a professional streamer or TikToker or even semi-professional, if you do it frequently, you would do it that quick and that easily on the bus. Absolutely. Because this is such a small thing, but since we talked about Winter Soldier briefly, I've always been annoyed when Black Widow releases all the Hydra files and there's millions of them and then immediately says they're trending.
Right.
And I'm like, in 5 seconds, Black Widow, you got. No one knows what you just did. No one understands.
No, not at all.
No one's looked at what you uploaded in any way.
No one has had time to read all those files.
Did you tweet that you did it? Did you tweet from Hydra.com or Hydra at Hydra and you were like, just released a bunch of documents, guys?
It makes no sense. So, it's someone who's a million years old wrote that because they're like, this is what the kids do. The kids trending.
So it was nice to see real social media.
Mm-hmm. Functional. But I don't want to make the focus of the scene that guy. But it is just a tribute. It is a credit to that scene that literally everything, every small function works 100% flawlessly.
Like, I totally get why you want to watch it over and over again, because the small details were incredible, and there'd be so much to see on rewatch. Like when they grab his jacket and it goes over his head and he flips it back on as part of his like next punch or whatever he did.
Yeah.
I think that's one
Getting
of the points
back
we
into
yelled.
his jacket. Yeah.
Yeah, it was flawless. It was beautiful.
Yes, us. This is the scene where us and other people in the theater all made like yelling at the screen reactions. Like, oh wow, what? Like people were audibly freaking out at this scene.
And just as like a small thing that I feel like one of the only reasons this movie was set in San Francisco was to have a hill big enough that they could go down for 5 minutes with no breaks. I've been to San Francisco. These hills are that
They're no
high.
joke. They're no joke.
They just keep going. I believed this scene. Mm-hmm. No other city would I have believed the bus could keep going that long.
Right.
But
what about Speed? Boom, you just got roasted by the speed police.
Speed had brakes.
They did have brakes. You're right.
You weren't supposed to use them.
You weren't supposed to.
But they had them.
You're right, they did have them.
This was the opposite of Speed. They wanted to stop.
You really want to go slower.
This is the reverse Speed.
Ooh, slowsies downsies.
This is called slow.
Slowsies. I make it more playful for the reverse, you know? Speed's so severe. The reverse should also be.
Keanu, what's your next movie gonna be?
I'm doing slowsies downsies.
Oh shit, that sounds great. Actually, Keanu could sell me.
Keanu could do. He can do comedy.
It would be a real Bill and Ted esque slowsies downsies.
He can fucking do comedy. He could do slowsies downsies. I'm telling you that right now. But yeah, I feel you that this is the city that it has to happen in. Also, as we were discussing off mic, San Francisco is just offering the most tax credits and getting very aggressive about things filming in San Francisco. So like we're going to see more and more San Francisco stuff. Ant-Man was set in San Francisco, which also made me expect Ant-Man in this movie, but he wasn't there. But what are you going to do? I
would have really liked to have seen Scott Lang, but not Ant-Man. Like, he's just like walking down the street, but he doesn't have his suit, so can't help.
I thought you were going to say on the bus, but he doesn't have the suit.
Honestly, also very funny.
Yeah.
Like, Scott Lang just panicking because he can't help because he doesn't have his tiny suit.
Calling an Avenger? So you're like, actually, I think this guy here has it. Don't worry about it.
He would absolutely have to call his daughter. Not even an Avenger. He would just be calling Cassie. Cassie, I need you to...
He would call Hope. He would call Hope.
But Hope would take care of it.
Yeah,
Hope's
Hope would.
Too competent to call.
Yeah, that's true.
It's no fun to call Hope.
Yeah.
She would handle it too hard. So Ant-Man somewhere would have been fun, but I'm okay that he wasn't there because, as we said, we gave this movie credit for being very contained.
Yeah.
I feel like the Wong stuff is the only...
Yeah, the only kind of like more out there stuff. Yeah. Just a last thing on that bus sequence. There's a moment where he throws like 3 punches, jumps like off of a seat up and through the handlebar that you hold on to, and then lands and gets into the driver's seat for a second.
Oh, yes, you loved that part.
Whoa! Whoa! Slowsies, downsies. This is bananas. That was one of the most fluid things I've ever seen. And it really reminded me of like some old, and just like the fluidity of how quick and smooth he gets up to the ceiling of a bus and over that railing. It felt like some old Jackie Chan stunts, like Jackie Chan diving through the steps of a ladder in First Strike, I believe it was, or like through the teller window in Rush Hour. And it reminded me of like jumping through like the window above a door in District B13, some different free running influences. Because there was some pretty cool like free running in parkour influences in this as well. But yeah, that actually like took my breath away. I went like, whoa, and like I couldn't breathe for a second. Like that fucked me up. That changed my core temperature. That was so good.
Andrew was in the fight, you guys.
I was there.
We weren't even in the 3D. The 3D might have killed you.
I would have died. It was, so that was so good. I can't say enough positive things about this bus sequence.
Bus sequence, almost too good too early.
It really burned hot and fast.
Because like every other fight is also good, but the bus sequence is special.
Yes.
Like every other fight, I was like, oh yeah, this choreography's good. I'm having fun. Good, having fun. Never get to that bus level again.
It never does. But it's also never as grounded as that bus fight, which I would say actually might be one of my few negatives of this movie. Not to jump around too much because I
like to jump. I don't want to end on all the dunkings.
Right, but I feel like just like jumping around chronologically as the movie goes on, it gets less and less grounded, which I think thematically and story-wise works, but it makes it a little bit more disappointing in terms of fight choreography and action set pieces because it ends in this third act big fight sequence where there's 2 dragons involved, and it's a lot of CGI, it's a lot of Game of Thrones, and I understand that there is a huge burden, pressure, and difficulty in like training Simu to do these action scenes. Like that bus scene, that was probably brutal. They wouldn't even be able to handle filming 3 of that caliber. So you do have to break it up a bit. But it does become a little bland and CGI-y, and it does have that. As soon as the dragons come out, for no particular reason, the skies turn gray. So it does then, like, a movie that's been so, like, colorful and bright and vibrant, and even that bus scene, it's like a crisp white shirt, a cool jacket, these guys in, like, dark black with, like, a glowing red laser sword, and everything looks cool and crisp. And then in the end, it's like the sky is gray. Everyone's a little gray. Shang-Chi's red costume has become a little gray. We have this beautiful white dragon with red flecks on its face. It's now kind of a gray dragon with some reddish gray flecks on. So just everything becomes that very typical Marvel first movie problem of what if we have 2 gray characters fight in gray in an end gray fight scene.
I feel the exact same way. I even started to feel it, I would say, at the fight rings, because when he fights his sister, it's very well lit. It's this bright ring, so you see that fight really cleanly. That's also a really good fight. It's not as long, but it's a really good, like, well choreographed fight. But even once like the henchmen show up and they're on the outside of the building, it's not as well lit. It is hard to see the cool moves that are happening, and it's like, if you are going to make choreography in these CG things, like, why can't they pop? Why do we always have to make them gray and make the skies like darken up? It even because if you're gonna give me CG things, at least like let me see them.
Right.
The entire most of the third act, I'm like, I don't know what's happening. I think we're winning.
Yeah.
I think we're winning, but I can't tell the dragons apart. They're fighting so close to each other.
And even if I can tell them apart, it's all very like one dragon does a swirly, another dragon does a different type of swirl, and we're supposed to kind of impose like, oh, that one did the good spin, but they're not physically like biting each other fighting. So it also is hard to know what the meaning of any of it is as to who's winning. So That's kind of a problem. I do think when they're on the outside of the building, so that middle action sequence, I agree with you. It does become a little bit more bland, a little bit darker. But that backlit silhouette fight scene between Shang-Chi and his trainer, I guess, like the guy with like the mask.
Oh yeah, I had to look up his name. He had a weird storyline. He like appeared and disappeared with very little fanfare.
Yeah, got his soul sucked out at the end, and then it was just kind of over.
Death Dealer. So that was a cool fight scene with Death Dealer. That like the window is shattered and it's that backlit neon, very vibrant, cool. Like that was shadowy in a cool, purposeful way. And on the outside of the building, it's like, I get it. You know, you need to add CGI and green screen stuff because these weren't practical stunts for obvious reasons. People are falling off of skyscrapers and shit. So that was kind of like excusable to be like, that's why it's shadowy. And then cut to a fight scene that's like silhouetted and purposefully shadowy. But then it just gets more and more out of hand. Yeah, because let me ask you this. At one point, the dragon, I thought there was a third dragon. Because the dragon made a big water tornado around the bad dragon.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, a third water dragon. But it was just a skinny tornado.
It was just a skinny tornado.
And I thought it was a third dragon he'd summoned somehow, like he called a buddy.
Right. Yeah, I agree with you. I could see that.
So yeah, the entire third act fight once the dragon shows up, and like it's cool that there's a dragon, but it's messy.
It's messy, and it doesn't have to be, because when it comes to messy CGI shadows, when it's the outside of a building, it's like you do shadows and you do things a little monotone, so it's easier to hide the details. To be like, we don't want you to notice that this is for sure not a real person who's limply hitting a bunch of scaffolding as they fall to their death.
That they're on wires, that they are...
Yes, but when it's two dragons, these are two fantastical, not real things. They don't need to look real because they're not real. Make one bright, vibrant red. Make the other one like sky blue, soft, beautiful. Like, do something that is just like they fucking pop. And it doesn't need to look real, because I know it's not, because their dragons aren't real. Like, you don't need to make it shadowy to hide the details as if you're trying to recreate a human being in a dangerous scenario.
Yeah, you heard it here first, guys. Dragons aren't real.
Dragons aren't real.
We're sorry to be the ones to tell you.
Because those lion creatures or tigers or whatever...
I think they were like lion dragons?
Lion dragons, whatever they're... I'm sure that there's an exact word for this type of creature. They looked phenomenal, bright, vibrant. They felt real, like they did, and they popped. They weren't hidden. They weren't in shadows. They weren't lurking in the corners. They were just out there, and it was incredible.
Yeah, Morris, the weird faceless pig monkey thing, flying pig thing,
felt weirdly real.
Felt weird, like, yeah, I'm like, you look like a pillow, but I feel like you're real.
Yeah.
And I can see all your features, and I believe that you exist, Morris.
Yeah.
The thing. Whatever you are.
Whatever you are.
I'm going to lay down money that they do not have any Morris plushies available.
I was just about to say the same thing.
They are so bad. We have talked about how Disney is bad at marketing. They don't have Baby Yodas ready. They don't have Croakies ready.
Yeah.
There are not going to be Morris toys available, even though I want to lay my head on one.
Yeah. I don't know why. Disney and Marvel, like, you are the accessories, toy, merchandising company. And for some reason, they can never anticipate that people will want a fun, small animal creature. They never figure out that people are going to want to buy that.
They're like, let's put a cute thing in our movie. We don't think people will like it.
Yeah.
We don't expect this to blow up, but we'll put a cute small thing in.
Yeah. Do you think they feel burned by porgs?
People didn't want porgs.
People did not, but that was the one creature that I think Disney was like, porgs are gonna fucking pop. Everyone, when The Last Jedi came out, I feel like Disney was like, okay, but people are gonna fucking love and adore porgs. Every kid is gonna have a porg. And it did, and they were like, okay, I guess kids are over small animals.
No, I have two things about porgs. One, they didn't plan for them to pop. It's just the puffins turned into CG creatures.
True.
To cover up the actual birds that were on the thing. And honestly, this is genuinely 100% the reason that I don't ever think of porgs to cuddle is because Chewbacca eats some of them. It really ruined the cuddly sentient factor.
It fucks it up a bit, yeah.
Yeah, genuinely, that one little bit of a scene fucked up porgs for me.
All right, that's fair too.
But I get what you're saying.
That like, yeah.
Porg should have popped.
Yeah, Disney's still a little hurt. So maybe that's it. But
nobody liked our porgs.
yeah, there's not going to be. Was
like
it
when
Murphy? What was the
Morris?
Morris.
Yeah.
I knew it was an M name.
Yeah,
Morris.
it's like when you bring a dish to a potluck and no one eats it, and
sad.
then you just like remember it.
You're
forever.
like, I'm never bringing anything to a potluck again.
Why did I even bring something?
I'm gonna bring a bag of Doritos. Fuck your potluck.
I mean,
that's still people love
people
love Doritos.
You're not gonna go wrong with Doritos. All right, speaking of fights, we're on fights a little bit. I do need to ask about this Wong abomination fight. This was a big deal? Question
mark? Question mark.
It was cool, but I also don't know what was going on.
I mean, okay, so like conceptually in the MCU, like was that abomination?
It was abomination. I've looked it up. I've checked it out. It was. I don't know why Wong breaks him out to go to a fighting ring. There seems like there's so much story missing.
There is. It feels like there's like there should be a one shot, which Marvel hasn't done in ages. They don't do the Marvel one shots was like a phase 1 thing. I think they have not done it since phase 1 of the MCU. But it does feel like there is a short story or an animated like something is missing. Why are Wong and him buddies? And they go through the same portal at the end. And was that fight rigged?
Big questions I have.
Okay.
I need to know the story of Wong joins a fighting ring because I feel like I can fill in some of the blanks myself. Because in Endgame or Infinity War, Wong very clearly states he has no money.
I also thought about this because he wants a tuna melt, and he
has no money.
So you think that this is him just trying to get tuna melt money?
I mean, more than tuna melts.
Okay.
He could get many tuna melts.
Right.
Or one better thing.
Okay.
He's definitely getting a lot of money for being the magic guy at the fights. But
yes.
I also feel like, so maybe I'm going to fill in the blanks. I feel like if you're going to be the magic guy at the fights, you have to maybe provide your own opponents because they don't have anyone Wong can fight.
Right.
You're pretty next level shit.
Right.
So is he breaking people out of like the vaults or the raft just to fight them and put them back in?
Right. Or is this their like work release? Like this is this is their time in the yard, or like be like you get time in the gym, like because you got to get if you're on the raft or you're in one of the shield prisons or government prisons or whatever, and you're the abomination. You know, you don't got a lot of running around room.
No,
but every now and then they
can't give you an inch.
We need Abomination to burn off some energy, and we've got a work release program with Wong where they go and fight. And Abomination doesn't have to, but has agreed that like this would be a fun thing for Blonsky or.
Yeah, because when they're in the locker room, he says like you got to work on your left or like pulling your left or whatever, and they're very agreeable and they're not mad at each other. And that's kind of like fighters are when you agree to a fight, when you're not being forced to fight. Yeah. But it just felt a little bit rigged, like a little bit like we're talking about how next time I'll win or you'll win.
Yeah, it felt weird. And I don't know what the backstory is and why Abomination is free.
Yes. Also, what I think is weird is that wasn't the headline fight of the night.
Right.
So someone showed up and it's like UFC night and you're coming to watch UFC and you're like, oh, what's the big fight? Like, oh, that guy from the bust is gonna fight his sister. Oh, cool. What's the warm-up fight? The Abomination versus a wizard? Yeah?
Yeah.
Of course that's the
guy
fight.
who destroyed Harlem and one of the people who helped stop Thanos.
Are gonna fight.
The warm-up fight. No, they are the headliners.
But that bus scene, though, I mean, the bus scene
was incredible.
But I don't know if it's Abomination fights Wong level.
Right.
Headline fight.
And especially when it's like, these people in the crowd are not invested that they're brother and sister.
He doesn't even know he's fighting his sister.
As an audience member, I barely care that he's fighting his sister. But when they're like, it's his sister. If I was in that crowd, I'd be like, I do not give a fuck if these two are related. Bring back the big monster and wizards.
More monsters.
More wizards. More wizards.
I'm on Team Monster.
I'm on Team Wizards.
Oh man, just briefly on crowd reactions.
Yeah.
Because this was the funniest moment in the movie to me, and it wasn't actually funny. I'm just an idiot. When his dad, Tony Leung, is like, he's like, your mom's trapped behind this gate, and now I have the map to the gate.
Yeah.
And then he goes out and he's got his whole army out there.
Yes.
And he goes out and he's like, tomorrow in 3 days we attack and we save my wife. And then all of his soldiers are like, yeah, we're gonna save your wife.
Huh?
It was such a weird hype up speech.
Huh?
Because to me, the save your wife part is what you tell your son and daughter.
Right.
But you tell your army, we're gonna take over a magic city.
Yeah.
You don't lead with, we're all equally invested in saving my wife, right?
Yeah. Yes.
That moment killed me.
So let's explore this character and these people a little bit.
I thought he was incredible.
I think he was incredible. He really owned this character.
His gravitas and presence,
Yeah.
like, haunts me. He would just be sitting there, and I'm like, we are circling this man. Like, we are trapped in his gravity. I was, like, flushed every time I saw him. I don't understand.
When he, who is supposed to be centuries or thousands or
He's at
millennia?
least 1,000.
1,000. So, like, this
More,
man
probably more.
who's, like, a millennia old or whatever. And it's obviously, like, it's middle-aged actor Tony Leung. And when he says to the older actor, you watch yourself, young man, in that final fight scene, it is both a joke and it is funny. It got a laugh from me. But he has such gravitas that he was like, you watch yourself, young man. And I, out loud as an audience member, went, ha, ha, ha. Oh, shit.
Right?
Like, it actually did. It both landed as a joke and actually made me kind of afraid of him.
And as a genuine reminder, this guy's 1,000 years old.
Oh, fuck.
And you can, once you remember that, you feel it. And you sense it. Like, I honestly, and he had so few lines. Like, a lot of it was just sitting and fighting. And, like, absolutely no offense to Simu, he was the hottest man in this movie by far.
Oh, okay.
Like, absolutely just, like, pulling you in, couldn't turn my eyes away. Like,
Yeah, no, I see that.
oh my God.
I don't think I'd use the term hot, but like definitely attractive. Definitely like there's a power there.
Yeah, it's not quite hotness. Attractiveness, yeah. Like, you do feel like you are, like, attracted to a gravitational force. Attraction is the word.
Yeah, I'm with
Either
you.
in, like, a hormonal sense or just you're going towards them with your body.
Something is happening.
Something is happening. He was amazing.
Yeah, I'm absolutely with you. I love his performance. I do feel like some of the writing around his character was a little bit off. Like when we start with this opening sequence where he spent thousands of years kind of conquering. So it's and it's a classic villain story where it's just like there's no amount of power that satisfies the power hungry. You always want more. You always want more. A classic villain tale, both in comic books and real life. That there's no amount that satisfies you. But I think they went too far with him to then give him a love story. Like, he didn't feel sincerely remorseful of the previous life he led when he was with his alive wife and children. So it's like, we get this, like, this man just ran in, slaughtered a bunch of these soldiers, took over a city because he likes sitting on thrones. And he will murder you, your family, and your village to get a throne. But then a woman humbled him once, and she was like, I'll forget about the murders. So they went too far, making him like the murderer of a millennia. And then it's like, but he had a romantic dance fight once. And a lady was like, maybe I can save him. But they went a little too far with like showing his power hunger, I think, to redeem him with a romance.
I don't think they went too far, but I think they didn't do enough to explain why she changed him. Like, you can't just be like, I lost a fight to a pretty lady. Like,
right.
What lessons did she teach you from the village she's from? Like, what did you learn that you were willing to put it all away? They really did show his, like, settled life wonderfully. Like,
I agree with that.
It was such a small thing, but when they were all playing Dance Dance Revolution, it actually caused, like, the biggest pang of grief in me that I felt the entire movie. I was like, oh, you were a real family.
Yeah.
You played Dance Dance Revolution. This
Yeah.
isn't just like, sometimes we do martial arts together, like, you know, all families do. Actually, some families, I did martial arts.
Sure.
But like, Dance Dance Revolution was just so real and so grounded.
It was
that
such
it made them feel like a real family,
And
not
them
just
just-
a crime lord family.
And them just like cuddling on the couch or
Yeah.
whatever. Like, yeah, it was warm, true moments of a family just like playing and enjoying together, as opposed to the very traditional or like the stiff, I love my child as I instruct them or tell them to do homework or be in the other room, please.
Yeah, you really felt the sense of we were loving until the mom died. And that part was told wonderfully. But I agree there is a bit of a disconnect of why he changed and how that change came about. It really felt like he was like, I'm over that hobby of killing.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like I am a changed man. And he obviously wasn't, because he went back to it when his wife died.
Certainly.
So, but like, it wasn't, because to me,
but it didn't even feel like that was like a fight that he was having within himself to be like, am I changed and am I worthy of love? And his wife having to like teach him to be like, yes, everyone deserves a second chance. Like there was no conflict there for him trying to fight his past until ultimately his wife gets murdered because his past comes back to haunt him. And we just kind of have like a one-off line of like, I thought I could leave my past behind. Guess you can't. Like, okay, but where was that conflict? Where was that?
Yeah, and I did find it especially big for him wasn't just the fact that he like got a wife and got married, but that he took the rings off. Like that's huge. You wore those for 1,000 years. They keep you immortal. And like it's a very beautiful story. I finally found someone I'm willing to grow old with, but like damn, like that's a huge step. I need to know more about what brought this on.
Yeah, because it does feel like he did sincerely change to a certain degree. Not only did he stop hungering for more power, he relinquished willingly, which is huge. So yeah, there's some missing pieces there that aren't necessarily motivated properly. Even though the performance is flawless, there's some motivation, and even just around, the 10 rings, it makes more sense before he meets his wife when it's like he's this conqueror, this warlord, people follow him because they're afraid of him or because he took over their home, or there's reasons for people to do what he says. But then after the passing of his wife, with like Razor Fist and these other guys, it just becomes a little foggy of like, are these hired goons? Are they brainwashed? Have you raised them? Are they like terrorists? Are they freelancers? Like, who are these people? I don't know who these people are or why any of them are really there.
I mean, I need you to think about it this way, maybe. Shang-Chi was only like 8 when his mom died. So he'd only been retired 8 years. His old henchmen probably were like, we'll come back. They're not out of the game. Like, he probably just got all of his old crew back together. It's only been 8 years.
Okay, you got me there.
He didn't retire for centuries.
I mean, I don't know how long him and his wife were together before they had kids, but okay, but let's 8 to 10 years, we'll say maybe.
Yeah, it couldn't have been
because they didn't get that
long.
old because he was aging, I guess.
He was aging, she was aging. It couldn't have been that big a time. So yeah, I think restarting your empire after that isn't so hard, which also explains though why he was like training Shang-Chi so hard. He's like, well, I don't have a lot of guys right now. And also you're my legacy back. And everything. But like, you're in the game now, son. I got to rebuild.
Right. Fair enough. All right, so that's a little bit I wanted to say about him. Just kind of like, I like the performance, but a little bit of fogginess kind of around the character motivation. Performance-wise, just kind of like breaking down the cast, I think pretty much everyone here knocks it out of the park. Simu is fucking perfect for this role, frankly. He plays it really, really well. I don't know if he pops as much if he doesn't have Awkwafina next to him, but that's also because I think like this movie needed these tones playing off of one another. Like, this is a very perfect balance that they find. So they're both perfect casting, really amplified by one another, I think.
Yeah, I think they are both really great. This isn't like so much acting, but I do kind of feel like in this movie the same way I felt kind of like Black Panther, in that it actually doesn't feel so much like a Shang-Chi movie because there is so much cast that also gets very fleshed out. Like his entire family gets fleshed out. Katie gets fleshed out. The mom, the sister, even the aunt Michelle Yeoh, the dad. It really feels like a true ensemble. Like everyone is telling their story. But yeah, they're all so very good. I think the only person maybe is like the sister was a little forgettable.
The sister was a little flat.
And everyone else really popped, which kind of highlighted that she was a little flat.
Yeah, I agree with you.
But yeah, Awkwafina is... Because Simu can be very funny off the top, but as his journey kind of evolves, he has to get more serious.
Yeah.
So it's great that Awkwafina's there to keep the jokes up and to make this story keep popping and to like make him keep popping because she's kind of the only one he can play off because everyone else is very serious.
Yes, yeah.
So she was brilliantly cast and added to the story.
Yeah, I really like that. That's a good analysis of it too. That like you're right. He is more comedic off the top because he is denying his more serious past life, and he wants to be and have the life that Katie has. So like he is a very similar character to her until we get the record scratch, like the needle drop moment where it's like, oh, by the way, I'm actually a very serious man with a very serious past. And then Awkwafina's character just becomes Katie becomes so absolutely necessary to have around. And she does a great job of playing off the comedy. And I really like, too, the ending, kind of bookending the movie with these dinners with their friends. I think not only was it hilarious, but it was also great to see Shang-Chi as a character and Simu as a performer slip back into the comedic day-to-day person who isn't so self-serious, and knowing that he can go back to playing that role and being in his friend's world as opposed to dragging her into his. That actually did make a nice full circle, and it was a great performance as well.
Yeah, I really liked it because I feel like he wasn't like lying about being fun. Mm-hmm. Like he did want to go to karaoke and party all the time. These weren't things he was just doing to forget that he was an assassin or to hide from his father. Like he does enjoy this life. And that was actually like a minor complaint I had about his time in Ta Lo with when he's fighting his dad is, he reconnects with his mom's half of the family. He kind of has to come to terms with who he is as his dad. But I didn't feel like he really added anything about who he became as himself in America.
Ah, very interesting.
Like,
okay.
his aunt, Michelle Yeoh, is like, do you know who you are? And he kind of reconciles his mom and his dad's half of him. But I'm like, I don't feel like you reconciled who you are and the things you wanted by yourself when you ran away.
Right.
And the life you had with Katie that I actually do think you, like, enjoyed because you went back to. And you're like, I still do karaoke, but now I do it with Wong. I still go to dinners with my friends. Like, those were things he liked that I don't think he adapted into his final form that I actually really missed. I wanted to see him become all three things. I'm my father, my mother, and I'm myself.
Ah, okay. Yeah, that is a theme that is absent, for sure. The theme of individuality is certainly absent because it's definitely a lot about family, lineage, expectations, and heritage, for sure. Mm-hmm. But there are touches of what does it mean to be an individual when you have imposed expectations from family put on you. And I think even the opening stuff with like Katie and her family as well, like
absolutely.
What they want and expect of her. So I think that like there are touches of themes of individuality, but they don't explore it. You're right. It's just not, it doesn't have the through line.
It doesn't have that through line. And like there's too much to explore almost for a 2-hour movie.
Absolutely.
But I did miss that element, although I am haunted by the line when Katie is learning archery. And the instructor says, if you aim at nothing, you hit nothing. And I'm like, damn, that actually really, really got to me. Just like if you're aimless in life, you won't hit anything. You won't accomplish anything. Yeah. It was a simple line, but I'm like, fuck, I got to take up archery or something. I don't know what I got to do, but that line got to me.
I mean, it's so
basic, but I'm a basic bitch.
It is basic.
I say?
I was gonna say it's the archery equivalent of the Gretzky. Like you miss the shots that you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
I don't know why archery hit me more
but
than
archery
hockey,
does hit.
Even though I'm Canadian,
It does slap harder. Archery does slap a little bit harder.
I love archery.
Yeah,
I love my Legolases and my Archer boys. So I need an archery metaphor to get me through life.
So I do want to talk about something you just brought up, to be like when we're talking about the themes of like family versus individuality, and you would have liked to have seen all of them combine, and I agree with you there. There is some stuff in this movie, and I keep flip-flopping back and forth as to whether or not I loved it or I'm like lukewarm or dislike it, because there's some stuff where it is done very subtly, and there are moments where I appreciate the subtlety, and then there are moments where I'm like, I actually don't. Maybe that was too subtle, and you should have explored it harder. One that stands out to me is the mistake that his father makes, thinking that his daughter, thinking that the sister is the one who like takes after the mother, when really it's the son. It would seem, because there is this And it is this sexist identification of the parents within the children, and this sexist societal expectation that the daughter will be the mother and that the son will be the father, when in fact between generations here it has flipped and reversed. So as they're growing up, the father's like, I never trained my daughter, I can't look at her because she reminds me too much of my wife. And that's what they say. He's like, he wouldn't look at me, he wouldn't train me because I reminded him too much of her. But then when Shang-Chi meets his aunt, she's like, you look like your mother. And then he learns to dance at like this dance fighting, this airbending like his mother. And he ends up being the protector like his mother. He ends up being the mother, and the daughter is the one who ends up taking over the Ten Ring organization and is obviously going to be a problem in the future, but she ends up being the father. So I think that there is a theme in here about reversing sexist expectations of generational continuation, like to be like the daughter will be the mother and the son will be the father again, but in fact they can actually be either. I think there's something there, and I'm not sure if it's subtle or if it's just not explored enough.
I thought it was explored plenty. The daughter straight up says, like, my dad wouldn't give me his empire, so I built my own when they're at the fighting rings. I actually didn't get the impression that the dad thought the daughter should be the mother. I just got, because they said no one at the Ten Rings is female. Like, the Ten Rings doesn't have female warriors.
Oh, did they say that?
Yeah. Well,
I did
that's
not catch
because
that at all.
when they get to Tao Lao and she's, like, watching female warriors for the first time. And that's why it's a big deal when she takes over that they first show that there are female warriors in front of her. She's taken over the Ten Rings and added women.
Okay.
So I didn't get the impression that it was supposed to be like, each of you are your one parent. I thought she just wasn't allowed to train because she was a girl.
Okay.
And it was like, still sexist, but any girl wouldn't be allowed.
Interesting. Okay. See, I took it as a, like, you're meant to continue the legacy of what your gender typed parent is.
That doesn't really make sense for this mother though, because she was a warrior.
Right.
She was the only person who could beat the dad.
Interesting.
So I think if you're supposed to follow your legacy, then he would have been like, you can air fight, or you'll be a good fighter too. So I thought it was just like sexism in women and fighting, and because I feel like the themes to me are you are both your parents.
Right.
But also you can be either one, because I do like that she runs the Ten Rings at the end. I think that's actually great.
Yeah.
But he's the mom and she's the dad. So it's kind of both themes. It is a little cloudy now that I think about it.
Yeah, I keep and this flip-flop you're having is the
flip-flop you've been having?
Every 30 minutes I'm like, it's nice that it's subtle. And then I'm like, or is it cloudy? And then I'm like, no, that's subtlety. And then I'm like, actually, is it? Or is it just a little foggy? And I just kind of keep dancing back and forth. But this is kind of me nitpicking. And I think the only other thing where I'm kind of flipping back and forth on is that I don't know how to feel about this relationship between Shang-Chi and Katie, between Simu and Awkwafina. I don't know if they have chemistry. Because I would say that most of the movie, so it starts with this clearly Katie's family, Katie's mother or grandmother, I forget who it was at the table, is like, when will you two marry? Like, her family clearly wants them to be together because they spend so much time together. But they sincerely did feel like siblings. Like, they felt more like brother and sister than the actual brother and sister. It felt like, and I was kind of looking forward to a movie where they just show a male-female platonic friendship. Like, I always like that, where I'm like, you don't have to be romantic just because you spend time around one another. And it felt platonic. But then at the end of the movie, it also felt like a good relationship as well. They sold that aspect of it, despite the fact that I did not feel any real sparks or chemistry until then. So I'm not sure how I feel about the relationship.
I like the relationship, and I think it is still platonic, and I think it will stay platonic, and I think that's really nice. I mean, if by the end of movie 1 that you've spent the entire thing together, you haven't gone on a date or kissed, you're platonic. They didn't kiss.
No, but they're in a relationship at the end of the movie.
I didn't get that impression.
They're holding hands.
They're telling a story.
Really? You don't get the impression they're in a relationship at the end of the movie.
Kiss? That's not a relationship. Not in a movie world. Not in a movie world. Like, you can kiss and not be in a relationship, but
whoa,
I don't take it that way.
Wow. Okay. No, I think that like the holding hands while telling a story is far more romantic than kissing and solidifies the relationship even more.
That is very intimate, but that is the thing I would do with a best friend.
At dinner with another couple holding hands?
While telling a very exciting story we both experienced together, I could do it. Yeah. I'm not saying it's normal, and I guess now that you say it, I could go either way. I still took it as very platonic. I think for the main reason I also took it as platonic is at the very end when Wong does karaoke with them, Wong's in the middle. And I'm like, if you're a couple, you don't put the new guy in the middle. Just little things. I think they're still platonic, and I really hope they are because I liked that a lot.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. I think wow. Okay. All right. You're really catching me off guard because I took the whole purpose of those final two scenes was to be like, these two are in a loving relationship now.
No, I think they would have made it more clear than just hand holding at dinner.
This is very interesting.
I mean,
this is freaking my bean.
I'm not 100% saying because you're absolutely right that there is hand holding, but yeah, I can go either way. But I hope they stay platonic. Maybe they'll like take a vote. See, what I was really hoping for because
we might need to I don't know what the. I
mean, like
I was going to say we could put this out as a. Well, I was going to say we could put this out as a poll on Twitter to be like, what do you guys think? But I'm like, the poll would contain a slight spoiler within it. So what's the time frame for doing that? I feel like it's kind
of a thing that someone's going to ask Simu pretty soon, like a week after the movie comes out.
Right.
Like, how do you feel about you and Awkwafina?
Yeah, maybe we wait a week and then we put it up as a Twitter poll. So fans, look out for that. There might be in like a week we'll put it out as a Twitter poll.
I was actually really hoping, while watching this, because MCU has been like, we're gonna be more diverse. We swear. I was like, I feel like Awkwafina and the sister might have something going on. Because they kept complimenting each other and being like, I love your pants. I think I think the thing you run really well. They had the moment in the bedroom where they like actually bonded for a second where she was like, this is how you deal with my dad. I actually thought they had more moments than Awkwafina had with Shang.
Okay.
But like they didn't go that way and like because it's the MCU, so of course not.
Right.
I also feel like though, here's what I will throw you. The MCU is so bad at romance that this might be them being romantic, just holding hands at dinner. I will give you that.
Yeah, they are classically terrible.
Romance.
Is there one good or like completed romance in the MCU?
Tony Pepper is like a pretty good one, and then Steve Peggy, but I don't care for that one just because how it played out in the end. You don't leave Bucky behind.
Fair enough.
Yeah, Steve Peggy. Bucky.
Yeah, Steve Peggy does work.
When you're watching, they have incredible chemistry in Cap 1.
Yeah.
They are absolutely like, if he didn't get sent forward in time, they are end game. Absolutely. But it's really just them. I mean, Vision, Scarlet Witch.
Okay, Vision, Scarlet Witch.
But they needed a whole show.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, Vision, Scarlet Witch, and that's it.
Yeah, the MCU is notoriously terrible at romance.
Damn. Yeah, I'm putting Vision, Scarlet Witch at the top.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they're phenomenal.
At the top there. Yeah, Scott and Hope, but like, I'm like, I don't really like, I like them, but I don't feel it. I'm not like, oh, that's love in film. Like, that's just.
If you found out in the third movie they broke up, you'd be like, oh, I can see that.
Yeah.
You don't think they're like made for each other.
And I think that's part of it too, is part of the history of the MCU, which why like they don't do well with romance is that not only are they poorly written in the movies that they're in, they've also made romances disposable based on contract disputes, where it's just like, oh, Gwyneth Paltrow doesn't want to come back, and it's like, well, him and Pepper broke up off screen. And it's like, actually, we did sign the contract with Gwyneth. Him and Pepper got back together off screen.
And they're soulmates. They never fought.
Yeah. Exactly.
Natalie Portman's coming back for Thor 4, so forget they broke up in Ragnarok.
Forget about that. That was actually just, it was nothing. Don't worry about it. Goodbye.
They've been in love the whole time, we swear.
Jane's still here. So I think that there might be that causing a few more problems within the MCU.
The other thing, one of my last things I need to talk about is I feel like I need to get to like the Iron Fist of it all. Mm-hmm. So I'm not sure if he's like a Shang-Chi Iron Fist hybrid now, because now he's got superpowers, he's got the 10 rings, and they kept telling him he has the heart of a dragon, and he's from a secret city that has a dragon, but it's not Kunlun.
Yeah. But he also kind of controls the dragon, too.
He kind of controlled the dragon, even though that didn't seem to be the ability they were talking about that he has. So he can airbend and control a dragon.
Yeah, he's got quite a bit going on.
And there are, like, Iron Fist hints, and I don't really care either way. Like, I love Iron Fist, but his show sucks. I don't think he's ever coming back.
Yeah.
But I just, like, I'm confused by the amalgamations of the things.
Yeah, I think they're just
Why
kind
are
of...
you the heart of the dragon?
Yeah, it might be a bit too much to deal with in one film, to like the fact that they gave him that much, that it's like you're the heart of a dragon, you're also the soul of your father, and you also have the 10 rings, and also you're an airbender. It might be quite a bit too much going on, but I think they are kind of cherry picking and adding in a lot of the secret city or whatever they're called, mystical cities.
The ancient cities.
Ancient cities.
The 7 secret cities.
The 7 secret cities from the comic book. So it is definitely an amalgamation of a few different storylines and things that have gone on. I say as someone I don't think I've ever read a Shang-Chi comic. I've just seen him show up in like other team up events and in Iron Fist stuff when they have like the fighting tournament on the and stuff like that. But yeah, it does seem like they're just kind of cherry picking, combining a few different mythoses together to kind of get the greatest hits, if you will.
Which I guess is like, if they're never going to do Iron Fist again, that stuff's on the table. And they're like, do you want to be a dragon? Like, yeah, I'll be a dragon. Dragon's available. It's like when you like lay out, like, what's available?
Well,
like,
let's do
we got dragon, we got
rings.
airbender, we got rings.
Yeah.
I'll take them all.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take all. Are they on sale? Is there a bundle deal I can get? And Shang-Chi was like, yeah, I'll take them all. But yeah, it's a little murky, all the abilities. That's another like thing that made, I think, the third act too murky. I think Shang-Chi has like 3 different moments where he figures out who he is instead of one big moment.
Right. Now that said, even though I didn't like the kind of gray dragon of it all at the end, I liked how anime-ass that ending became. I actually enjoyed that as a different style of like him fucking airbending, and he's got the rings, and he's like jumping around and flying through the air, and everything has gone bananas, and he's going Super Saiyan or whatever the fuck is going on. I enjoyed how bonkers that got, and I actually think that they like accomplished that style of live action anime really, really well. It's never been the style that I am into, more so than grounded fight choreography like the bus scene or like the Cap elevator scene. But I think they executed it really well until it became the Gray Dragon battle. I kind of liked that. I've got a thing. I've got another thing. I've got a triple thing. Quadruple thing. Laser beam. Like I liked
Laser beam.
I liked that it got out of control.
I liked it a little bit. I thought the dragon reveal under the water was really beautiful. Like when he turns around and it's there. And I thought the fight when like he's like taking the rings from his dad was really, really cool. When he like learns airbending and he like mimics his mother's movements, it's like really beautiful and thematically satisfying. It's very well choreographed. That's really fun. Yeah, the dragons. I think if the dragons were cleaner, brighter CGI'd, I would think that would have been way more fun and better. I would have enjoyed it more.
Yeah, yeah. I think the moment where he sees, the moment where what's the name of the father, the character name? Do you remember?
Wenwu.
What was it?
Wenwu.
Wenwu. Okay. Did they have like another like title moniker? Like,
I mean, he was kind of the Mandarin.
Oh, right. I guess he kind of.
Yeah.
Okay. But I think it was weird when he's fighting with Shang-Chi, when Shang-Chi's fighting with his father, and they have that moment where Shang-Chi does the dance fighting style of his mother. That was a nice parallel, but it was also the moment where the father fell in love with the mother as well.
Oh
and I'm
my
like,
God, it was so fun but awkward at the same time.
Yeah, because like they made that it's a good parallel of that first beat, but they made that first beat way too romantic, so it makes it a little bit weird in a final scene with your son. I get what they were going for, and it does work, but it's still a little like ew, like just a touch. Just a touch.
Absolutely, because it's so flirty and fun in the first scene with the mom and the
flirty
dad.
Flirty is the word.
It's flirty, like they're fighting, but they're never hitting each other, and they're just showing off for each other. And he's amazed by her abilities. It's absolutely flirty, and it's weird to look at your son and be like, he's just like his mom.
Flirty like his mom.
Flirty like his mom.
Yeah, flirty is the word.
I feel like you only needed the he does this beautiful leg sweep that she does, which I think is not flirty. It's just getting into a stance. So I feel like maybe that's all you needed, or some kind of non-flirty specific move that isn't you caress the face and walk in a circle.
Yeah. the circle dance.
Yeah, maybe a less flirty signature move next time would be just great. Well, your dad's dead, so there won't be a next time to dance with your dad. But I totally agree. That moment, I'm like, this is beautiful and weird. Torn.
Yeah. I do really like, the more that I bring up little details of them paralleling the beginning, and the more I'm appreciating how this movie ends. Whether it's the flirty dance, which might be a little weird and flirty, but that mirroring the first scene, the dinner date or the double date or hanging out with your friends, however you want to view what that ending is, but that kind of paralleling one another, the karaoke with Wong and staying true to themselves. This movie does do a really good job, and I am a sucker for it, of having closing moments that mirror the opening moments. And I'm a real softie for when a movie does that.
Yeah, they've gone on a journey, but they didn't lose themselves.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't completely redefine who they are. They more like found themselves.
Yeah.
But they weren't like, the old me is invalid. The old themselves were still valid. They just built on that structure. Yeah,
right.
and you get closure of where they are and everything. Yeah, I agree. It's nice.
I think the last thing that I wanted to talk about was, so we brought up the Mandarin, which is, I guess, the villain's name, but not the villain's name because it's been adopted. But the inclusion of the Mandarin in this movie, Ben Kingsley. How did you feel about that?
I thought it was like just enough. It was very silly, but like they had a purpose for him, with like being able to interpret the little guy and like getting them there. I was worried he was going to be there like too much once he like went with them to the Magic City. But as soon as they got to the Magic City, he kind of just disappeared. So it was like,
and I'm fine with that.
Just enough Ben Kingsley. I was like, you can't overpower this movie. You're showing up in like the mid-act 2.
Right.
But yeah, I thought it was a really fun surprise. They seeded it in well with the dad at dinner being like, you wouldn't believe what these people in America did with my name. And then I fucking got him.
I got him. But he's a good actor, though, so we do keep him around. Yeah, him being a captive jester, but kind of into it. They've made this character like oddly well-rounded and consistent. Like, I know who this dude is why, and I also know why he's too dumb to know what's going on around him.
I totally believed he would find himself in this situation, in this madcapical farce of a situation, because if it happened to him once in Iron Man 3, it can happen a second time to this man.
And it weirdly adds more credibility to his character in Iron Man 3 for me, because like in Iron Man 3, it's like, you didn't notice that you were on every television everywhere as the world's most wanted terrorist, and you thought this was an acting gig for the BBC? I know you're on drugs, but you didn't notice that? And now after this movie, I'm like, oh yeah, no, he did not notice that.
He did not notice
he
that.
barely notices that there's nothing wrong with this creature that doesn't have a face. He does not notice.
But based on his performance in Iron Man 3, when he is being the Mandarin, he is a good actor.
He is a very good actor.
The Mandarin was really scary and well performed. But the character is a good actor, not just Sir Ben Kingsley. Ben Kingsley is an incredible actor.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought it was fun. I thought it was just enough. It was nice that they gave him a purpose. I wouldn't have minded if he just showed up and then like never came back again and didn't go into the forest. But it was fun either way. What did you think of him?
I thought it was great. I thought it was a sincere surprise and a character I have not thought about in some time. I forgot that he used the 10 rings thing in his Iron Man 3 speech or whatever, so that's kind of nuts. I would have liked a moment where he was a good actor, frankly. And I know that that's a weird thing, but like, he sincerely was good as the crazy, you're right, like as the crazy terrorist who's playing a role on TV, he was an actor doing a very different character than who he was in real life. But in this one, it's just him, and he's like, "Oh, I'm playing Hamlet." And I'd be like, "Hey, Banquo, get over here." And I'm like, he would like mutter Shakespearean lines really poorly, and he's like, "Can I do it for you now?" And would do it like half-hearted and shitty. But I would actually like to see, and I think that it would even be funnier, like just a little beat of like, boom, full on. I am Sir Ben Kingsley, and I am doing Hamlet right now.
And also, are you doing one-man Macbeth shows? That's not how they were written. That's a huge undertaking.
That's massive.
Honestly, what I thought the end credit scene was, when they opened on the sister one, when she's like cleaning out her room and they're like, "We're ready." I'm like, she's gonna go watch Ben Kingsley perform.
I thought the same.
I thought that would be so fun. Like, he's not a captive anymore, but he still is like, it's a working gig.
Yeah.
I'm getting paid. She's way nicer than her dad, probably. Like, she's still working like a drug ring or killing, but like, I think she'd be a better boss. There'd be a union.
I would have even liked a final closing joke, because did he leave the city? Because him in a secret city that has been secret and tucked away from society for millennia, doing Shakespearean plays that they've never seen or heard of before, and he's just crushing. Like, I almost wanted to see that. Like, he's like, no, I'm going to stick around. These people have never seen King Lear. And, like, him doing plays.
This is fun, but it brings me to a weird point about those people can see the outside world somehow. They knew what a car was.
Interesting.
So they have some kind of, they knew that the daughter had children when she left.
Right.
So they had some kind of messenger service going.
All right. So they're familiar with the works of
but
Shakespeare.
They might not have television.
Right.
Like, they might not be like fully informed. Like, cars are a pretty big one. That's a pretty basic thing to know.
Sure.
But so they might not know Lear. They might not know more modern stuff. Like, you could do Hamilton if you can sing. I don't know what you want to do.
Right.
They might be super enthralled.
Right.
In the Heights by Ben Kingsley.
Get it in there. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I thought it was a fun, unexpected character that they added a little bit more to. It was it was a surprise. It was a delight.
It was a surprise. His final beat is very good when he pretends to play dead, though.
Yeah,
but
that worked really well.
I don't think they
also.
would let him stay there if they wouldn't let Wenwu stay.
Fair enough.
So I don't think Ben Kingsley gets to stay.
That's a good point.
I feel like my very final thing is the final thing of the movie with the after credits. A little bit of discussion about what the rings are beaconing. Because we see Bruce in human form. We have not seen Bruce Banner in human form in some time.
I don't know what that means. Yeah, because he was in his half form for all of Endgame.
All of Endgame, he was Bruce Banner's mind in the Hulk's body, and then he hurt his arm. But he was in a sling, still in Hulk's body at the end of Endgame.
At the funeral,
So now we have human Bruce Banner still in a sling.
Still in a sling.
Hulk body gone.
Yeah. So I don't know what this means.
So there's some story there. I was reading some things that were very good theories, which were just like, we need him back in his human body because he's going to be on She-Hulk, and they do not have the money to always make him CG.
Gotcha. Okay.
So they were like, we got to humanize Bruce again.
Okay.
Weird that they do it here just without explanation.
Right.
So cool to see Bruce. Like to see Bruce, like to see Captain Marvel. And then, so I think, I'm just going to throw out my theory about the 10 rings. I think the 10 rings are calling Galactus.
I think this is an insane theory that I in no way am on board with.
That's why I needed to bring it up, because I need to let everyone know that Andrew doesn't support my theories, or this one in particular.
This one in particular is way out there.
I think this makes all the sense in the world. I think the rings belonged to a Herald of Galactus. That Herald died. This guy found them, and now, like, for some reason, when they changed hands, it's like, hey, we got a planet, and Galactus is going to show up in like 6 movies.
Okay.
Well, we got Fantastic Four confirmed.
Sure. I'm not saying Galactus is never going to exist, and there's no Fantastic Four movie.
Excellent.
I am saying that why Shang-Chi would be the person who signals Galactus, like the most thematically different. There is no reason to wrap him up in Fantastic Four bullshit. Like, there is nothing about like, oh yeah, like Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. This movie thematically very much ties into the motorcycle riding fireman. Like, we're really gonna. I think that it is. He's not a space guy. He's not a Fantastic Four guy. There's no reason to tie all these things together. I think that it would make sense for the Eternals. That's something where it's like, this is on Earth. It's been on Earth for a long period of time. It has power. Or like the, what are they called? Like the Deviants or the
Deviants are the Eternals ones.
The Deviants are the Eternals bad guys. So maybe it's like the Deviants / the Eternals. So I could very much see it being that, which is like a touch of space, but grounded on Earth. But to add in Heralds and Galactus and space stuff in the Fantastic Four, I think is like way too much too fast, and it just doesn't really track or make sense for Shang-Chi.
I think it makes total sense for how the MCU works, because I feel like whenever there's like a big battle, they need reasons for the Avengers to get together. Mm-hmm. So I think Galactus shows up at Earth. Of course, all the space people are already going to fight. But like, why is Shang-Chi there? Oh, because his rings can do something special to Galactus or something, or have herald energy.
Right.
Like, I feel like you need to get all the Avengers together.
Right.
So it's like, that's how he ties in.
Okay.
And Galactus will be on Earth.
Right.
He's going to eat the Earth.
Okay. Right. Yes, that's true. But yeah, I think it puts Shang-Chi front and center, though. I get that you do need someone on Earth to be like, who's tying it all together. But it puts Shang-Chi front and center for the space battle of the next phase, which I don't know if that's the character that does that.
Well, we will find out. I'm gonna put money down on Galactus. A few of you listeners have been very kind and tweeted at me when I call things correctly. So please write this one down.
Write this one down.
Keep that in.
Keep that in.
Write that down.
Write that down. No one will bring it up if you're wrong, though.
That's the nice thing about you people. Mm-hmm. You guys are very kind to me. You're very good to me. If anyone, you know what? But I can take it. If anyone wants to tweet me my wrong theories, I don't know what they were.
I don't know what they were either. It is a very wild shot. But I respect you for shooting your shot.
I'm going to shoot my shot. If you don't aim, you don't hit. The arrow guy says.
Jesus Christ.
If you aim at nothing, you hit nothing.
If you aim at nothing, you hit nothing. Diana's aiming at Galactus.
I'm aiming at Galactus.
And I'm aiming at a much more reasonable Eternals tie-in, which I think would make a little more sense.
I am big.
You do.
But I get what you're saying. The Eternals are there. They're coming up soon.
The Eternals are there. They're coming up soon.
Oddly soon. Like a month and a half?
Very, very quick. So I could see them kind of like bang, bang going back and forth on those two. Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, well, I think that's going to do it for Shang-Chi. How you feeling?
I'm feeling great about Shang-Chi. Had a good time. Like you said, I wish we could just watch the bus scene again.
I really do want to watch that bus scene again. Well, let's go in for the close. Let's ask the final question of what would you change? So now that we've discussed everything we discussed, what would you change about this movie if you could change anything? But before we do ask that final question, we want to remind you, as we do every week, if you haven't already, please subscribe, rate, and review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. That allows you to leave a rating or review. So that helps us move up the charts. It helps us find new listeners, and it means the world to us.
It means so much to us. We read them all, we warm our hearts, and then other people read them and they listen to our podcast, and that helps us out so much. So it's like so many levels that a review will help us out.
Absolutely. So take a moment, take a minute or two, leave one for us and any other podcasts or a couple other podcasts that you listen to, because it's important to everybody. So go do that. And if you want to get more of this podcast and of this network and everything, you can check us out over on Patreon, which is a monthly subscription service where you can subscribe to us at $1 a month, $5, $10, whatever it is that you can afford. You'll get cool bonuses depending on your subscription level. At the $10 a month hero level, you get a bonus episode of this podcast every single month that is just for you, our patrons. And you can find that over on our Patreon page.
You can find that at patreon.com/fromsuperheroes. There are episodes of things we never cover on the regular podcast. They are full-length, ad-free episodes. We did Jungle Cruise last month. So fun.
Jungle Cruise is a blast.
My God. And you get access to all the old ones as soon as you sign up. There's so many good ones.
So check it out. It's over at patreon.com/fromsuperheroes. That's patreon.com/fromsuperheroes. And now let's go in for the close. Let's ask the final question of what would you change? Diana, what would you change?
My big change, even though I know you kind of liked them as an anime version maybe at the end, is I'm cutting the dragons completely. No water dragons.
Well, I didn't like the dragons. I liked the scaling up of the son-father battle where it became ridiculously big.
Oh, well then good, because my scale up is no dragons at all. So they said that the dad has to be the one to break the gate because the 10 rings are the only thing strong enough. And then I think the evil has to take over his body. And we continue to fight the dad because he dies so early in the fight. There's still 15 minutes of fight after that the emotional resonance kind of wears off. So I think the gate opens and then an image of his wife walks out, which is really the pure evil essence. Uses him as a host. He can still eat souls and get strong, but it's still gonna look like his dad and be a human man who you can fight. And then I think my big moment that I would is maybe he does do his mom's move and his dad's able to not completely break out of the evil, but give Shang the rings as like a sacrifice play so Shang can beat him.
Okay.
So yeah, it's still kind of like the same dad sacrifice play, like giving the rings up, but he actually is the evil for the entire fight to kind of make it more personal. You can still do better choreography. You can keep it more grounded and more tight. So because I think the rest of the movie is pretty solid.
Right.
It's really just these final fight scenes that I think are a little messy and go on a little long. So yeah, it's the dad takes in the evil.
Interesting.
Of the gate he has opened.
That's interesting. I'm definitely on board for no dragons. Yeah, I think I'm on board with this.
You're on board with this?
I think I'm on board with
All right,
this.
You're not as excited as usual. I like when I get you real good, but I'll take it on board.
Yeah, I'm just on board with this.
You're just
definitely
on
no
board.
dragons. I'm definitely on board with no dragons.
All right. What was your change, Andrew?
My change would be I need something to change around the flip-flopping of the 10 Rings crew at the end, because I don't know why they're following this guy, and then why they turn on this guy because like they realize that their leader fucked up, but then they still agree to follow his daughter even though she's done nothing for them ever in any circumstance. So it doesn't really make sense. And also we don't really like check back in over on that side of the water, and they don't really make a difference in the battle. So like Awkwafina's character Katie shoots an arrow, but other than that, it is not the power of uniting these armies that does literally anything in the battle. Like if they were continuing to fight one another, it's the exact same ending.
Ooh, that's a great point.
So this, like, we fight together now and we're united, it doesn't do anything for me. What I would like to see, if they want the sister to be the leader of the 10 Rings, is I need to see more of, like, the sister kind of, like, pleading with these people, with Razor Fist and these other people, to be like, you've been indoctrinated. What he tells you are lies. He is not looking out for you. He is insane. And then once they realize that, she needs to be the one to save them, because she's off doing her own fucking dragon shit. And it's literally just like Razor Fist sees one of the dudes lose their souls, and he's like, oh, this is messed up. But it's been messed up the whole time. This has all been crazy, Razor Fist. You went through a magic forest, and there's like a fur ball with wings that you had in your basement. It's all nuts. There's no reason for this to be your breaking point. But if the sister, if she saves their life and has been like trying to like plead with them to be like, there's other ways to live, like there's other ways to like honor your warrior ability. I have a fighting ring. Like there's other things we can do. He's indoctrinated you. My father's the bad guy. He will sacrifice your life as he did with my mother. He does not care about you. And then she saves the crew. That would be a good reason for like this uneasy truce to occur. And I think it would be a good reason for them to follow her at the end, because they gave up their leader. Why would they follow her at the end? Because she is the daughter of someone. They've never met her. She's been on the lam for ages. Maybe some of these people have. But for the most part, they've never met her, and she is just the daughter of someone that they abandoned and no longer respect. So why would she be the leader now?
No, these are excellent points, especially because there's like a gap in leadership. So she could be leading them even in that fight. Like she could be directing them on how to beat the bad guys, like because they are magical. Like
right.
The what's his name? The Death Dealer is killed very early, and the dad's across the river, so they don't have a current leader.
Yeah.
So if she just even starts leading them in this fight, of course they would keep talking to them, leading them, inspiring them, changing them. Yeah, that makes. You're absolutely right that it makes no difference that they team up. That is really bothering me now. They don't defeat anything via their truce.
If you delete the scene where they team up, literally you don't even in the background, you do not notice that anything has changed at all in that entire sequence.
Because it's still just a big fight scene.
It's still just like random chaos happens while two dragons do swirlies around one another.
Mm-hmm. And the sister doesn't need to be controlling a dragon because Shang can.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, this is a great change.
Yeah,
and gives her more reason to be the leader later. Yeah.
And Shang, even though Shang is honoring obviously like both sides of his parentage, and that's part of the theme of the story, he is more honoring the side of his mother, where it is the like I've got the dragon blood, I am protecting this city, and the daughter has created an empire of her own from nothing and has followed more of the lineage and legacy of her father, which involves leadership. And so like I feel like them being both of their parents, but a hint more towards one another, and for her that is leading a shady underground empire, would kind of parallel her story and the relationship between her and her father a bit more.
No, I like these changes. That's a really good one. Yeah, I like it. It fleshes out without like adding any time to the movie.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, it's the same amount of time, but it fleshes the character out better and gives her more purpose. Yeah, love it. Great change.
Sweet. So no dragons, and she needs to find a reason to lead.
Excellent.
All right, well, that's going to be it for the podcast this week. That's it for Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. We are going to be back next week to talk about Casino Royale.
Oh my goodness, it's Bond time?
It is getting close to Bond time.
Is it
The following month will be Bond time.
Is it finally Bond time? This movie's been pushed back for a year and a half.
I still expect it to get pushed back again. But nevertheless, we're doing Casino Royale next week, but I do expect No Time to Die to get pushed back one more time. But we'll see. We'll see about that.
I think it's Galactus. He thinks No Time to Die will be pushed back again. That's what the beacon's saying.
That's what the beacon is saying, is that it is not the time to die. That's the time. Never. So we'll be back next week to talk about Casino Royale. In the meantime, if you want to get a hold of us, you can reach me on Twitter at Ivimey, Ivimey.
You can reach me at Words of Diana.
And you can reach both of us at From Superheroes. And we'll talk to you all next week.
Bye.